Can you explain the concept of Shchinta Begolusa? We learned that we're supposed to have pity on Hashem because the Shechina is in Golus, and that is why we want Mashiach, so that the Shechina will come out of Golus. Why would I pity Hashem for imprisoning himself? You got yourself into the problem, get yourself out. Actually, I had this experience. There was a very, very special man in Montreal, very Chassidish guy, and I love to talk to him. And one time I saw him sitting very serious in the Bais Medrash. So I went over to him and I said, "What are you so serious about?" He said, "Shchinta begalusa," because the Shechin is in Golus. I said, he did it to himself. So without hesitation, he said, "I know. You also do stupid things and get yourself in trouble, and I feel bad for you too." So just the fact that you got yourself into trouble doesn't mean you shouldn't have Rahmanus on me.
But God knew what he was doing. He's officially perfect. And
officially perfect.
No, he is. I'm saying,
Yep.
like, no, we're not. We're allowed to get ourselves
Right.
into stupid things.
Okay, so the fact that he did it to himself is not a reason not to have Rahmanus. The question is, why did he do it to himself? You know, there's a famous story that people misunderstand. The story is that when the Alter Rebbe was arrested, he really didn't have to go. If the Alter Rebbe didn't want to go, he didn't have to go to prison. If the Alter Rebbe wanted, he could have burnt down the whole government just by wanting it. He didn't have to go. So why did he go? It sounds like he went by choice. He chose to go to prison. Why? What is this story supposed to be telling us anyway? The Alter Rebbe didn't have to go to jail, but he went anyway. What kind of story is this? The story is saying like this. If you think that the Tsar put the Rebbe in prison, then you don't understand what a Rebbe is. A Tsar can't put a Rebbe in prison. A Tsar? If the Rebbe lights his pipe, the whole Tsar with his whole army can burn down. It's not the Tsar that put the Rebbe into jail. The Rebbe went to jail because Hasidus had to become available to people. And in order for that to happen, there had to be Mesiras Nefesh. So the truth is, the Alter Rebbe could refuse to go, and there's nothing the Tsar could do about it. But then, there wouldn't be Hasidus. So why did the Alter Rebbe go? Because that was necessary for Hasidus to become available. So did the Alter Rebbe have a choice, or didn't he?
He did. Yes. No, we didn't really, because then if he would...
He had no choice at all. He was much more forced to go to jail than the Tsar could force him. You see what the story is saying? The story is saying, you think the Tsar has power? No. Hasidus is powerful. The Tsar couldn't put the Alter Rebbe in jail, but Hasidus could. So it's not saying the Alter Rebbe went to jail because he wanted to. That's ridiculous. The Alter Rebbe went to jail because the importance of Hasidus made the Mesiras Nefesh necessary. Yes. But being a Rebbe, he really didn't have a choice. How could he not? Right.
It's like by the Sarah Malchus when the Malchus asked, or when someone asked them if they were ready, like either they would be killed or the whole world would be destroyed. It's like they could have said no, but then the world would, like, you know.
Either way, they would be...
Or just the fact that the Romans said, we're going to kill you, and they said, well, let me check and see. Let me go Lamaila and find out whether this is really supposed to happen, because if it's not supposed to happen, you don't make it happen.
When they did that.
You can't, right. So, what does it mean that the Eibishter is in Golus? What it means that the Eibishter is in Golus is that the Eibishter cannot separate himself from you.
But he can, the same way the Rebbe said himself. He set himself up.
He can't. Just like we cannot separate ourselves from him. Because of Nefesh Elikis, he can't separate himself from us. So if we're in Golus, he is in Golus. Now you can say, well, why doesn't he just choose to separate from us and then he doesn't have to be in Golus? He can't separate from us. We're a chelik elokah. So I guess he is as stuck with us as we are with him. The chelik can't separate itself from the rest, and the rest can't separate itself from the chelik.
But Hashem can do things that in this world seem impossible. So technically high up there maybe, like the same way down here things are different in the way it is up there.
Right. So it's saying the same thing. There's nothing in this world that forces the Eibishter to do anything. But there's something about the Eibishter that makes him be an Eibishter. And that he can't help. He's always an Eibishter. So what he is really forever and cannot be any other way. He can't not be an Eibishter. Just like a Nefesh Elikis can't stop being a Likus. That's what it is. So nothing else matters. But of course, Elokus matters to Elokim. So really what it says, Shchinta Begalusa means we are inseparable. And that's not a bad thing, that's a very good thing. So if you're very, very connected to somebody you love, and you're in a bad mood, you don't want the other person to be affected by your bad mood. So you have rachmanus on the other person, and you don't drag them into your bad mood. You know the story that the Rebbe was once on his way home, and that day the Rebbe was really not feeling well. His leg was really, really painful. It was painful many, many days, but the Rebbe never allowed it to show. If you see the videos, the Rebbe walking into a farbrengen or walking into davening, and he walks like a young man, he's walking quickly. It was hurting, but he didn't let it show. Once in a while, when the pain became really, really bad, the Rebbe limped a little bit if you looked closely. One time, the pain was so bad that when the Rebbe went into the car, he couldn't get into the car because he was holding the bag with the letters, with the pig, and getting into the car with the bag in his hand. So for the first time, he gave the bag to Rabbi Krinsky. He never let anybody touch the bag. And he got into the car. When they got to the house, he couldn't get out of the car with the bag. So again, he gave Rabbi Krinsky the bag. He got out of the car, and they were walking up the steps, and the Rebbe saw that the Rebbitzin was standing by the window. He quickly took the bag back from Rabbi Krinsky, straightened up, and marched up the stairs. If you love somebody, you don't want that connection to cause pain. You know that the Rebbitzin loves you and is concerned for you. You don't let that bring her pain, that she should worry that you're not feeling well. So the Rebbe was careful not to allow the closeness to bring pain. So it's because we are so close, it's because the Eibishter can't separate from us and we can't separate from him, that we're bothered that he is suffering with us. That's the pity, the Rachmanus. I know it can't be any other way. How can my pain not affect my wife? But it bothers me that it affects her. So I have Rachmanus. So it's not a contradiction. It's impossible any other way, and I still feel bad. So, what would be the opposite? What would be the Shekhinah is not in Golus? That would mean he doesn't care about us that much. Well, we certainly don't want that. So now you're making it impossible. If you want him to care about you so much, then he's going to be in Golus with you when you're in Golus. Okay. That's unfortunate that it has to happen. But it does have to happen, and you have to feel bad about it.